Don't change yourself just to make someone happy, unless that someone is you. There is no missed opportunities. Everything you missed wasn't yours. Trust yourself. You know more than you think you do. Learn to see people for what they are, not what you want them to be. The longer you live in the past, the less future you have to enjoy. Better to admit you walked through the wrong door than spend your life in the wrong room. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Missing is a part of getting over. Don't worry about those who talk behind your back. They're behind you for a reason. The bigger the ambition, the slower you need to go. Never brag about your progress or tell people your plans, as your friends today may become your worst enemies tomorrow. Make sure the choices you make are worth the losses you'll take. Never sacrifice your progress for a friend. They might not do the same if the tables were turned. Sometimes you just need to be a bit selfish. Put yourself first and think about what is best for you. It's okay if you don't know how to move on. Start with something easier, like not going back. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes sacrifice. Close the window that hurts you, no matter how beautiful the view is. Sometimes you have to let go of people who keep reminding you of who you used to be. Forgive yourself for accepting less than you deserved, but don't do it again. If you're not willing to walk alone, you'll never lead your own path. Accept the things you cannot change, and change the things you cannot accept. Just because a decision hurts doesn't mean it was the wrong one. Your friends and family do not always know what is best for you. Every time you choose fear over action, you bury your potential deeper. A man who wants to lead the orchestra must turn his back on the crowd. Loneliness is the price you pay when you start to improve yourself. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. Life gets better when you let people lose you instead of begging them to choose you. If you want your dreams in reality, don't keep them in your head. The faster you do the things you avoid, the faster you get the good things you want. You will never remember the days and nights you stay home and do nothing. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. If you want to win, you must first know what losing feels like. Sometimes, things might seem falling apart, but actually, they're falling into the right place. Sometimes things end, so better ones can begin. Action breeds more clarity than thought. So you can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. Sometimes you need to burn bridges to stop yourself from crossing them again. Characterize people by their actions, and you will never be fooled by their words. Most people stay in the same place for a reason. The things they hold dear are the anchor that holds them in place. Your life isn't yours if you constantly care about what others think. Don't burn your opportunities for temporary comfort. People don't decide their future. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. A man without a vision for his future always returns to his past. The greatest challenge in life is discovering who you are. The second greatest is being happy with what you find. You think you know someone, but mostly you just know what you want to know. If nothing else, some people just teach you how not to be. You can't make anyone love you, and you can't force yourself to love anyone else. Confidence does not come from an expectation of success. It comes from a comfort with failure. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. We are the average of the people we spend time with. Surround yourself with good people to be a good person. Don't expect to see a change if you don't make one. People will walk in and out of your life, and those you least expect will become past remembrances of a temporary time you once thought was permanent. You train people how to treat you, unconsciously or not. The point of the argument is not to defeat each other, but to understand each other. If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try. There are no bad emotions, only bad reactions to them. You have to learn how to channel your negative emotions in a constructive way. People who show you new ways of thinking and new ways of seeing life are important. Your enemies will often tell you the truth because it hurts, and your friends will often lie because it doesn't. Develop a willingness to be disliked. This will grant you the freedom to do what needs to be done, even if it's unpopular. Be brave enough to say what you want to say, not what people want to hear. If someone's absence brings you peace, you won't lose anything. We often overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate what is possible in 5. Your past or childhood may be messy, but it's a great force in your future. If it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind too. Don't be afraid to start over again. This time you are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. The more responsibility you take, the more you empower yourself to actually do something about that pain. Don't take people for granted. You never know when they could be gone. You never know how much they mean to you until they're gone. When someone shows you their true colors, don't try and paint a different picture. Hands that were on your shoulder during bad times are more valuable than the hands that clap for you on your success. Forgiving doesn't make the person who hurt you feel better. It makes you feel better. Accept things as they are. Life isn't about living in the past or living for the future. It's about living in the now. People who play roles will eventually forget their lines. Pay attention. You are always responsible for how you act, no matter how you feel. Being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it'll always get you the right ones. Learn to deal with people for who they are, not who you want to be. Extraordinary results come from repeating ordinary actions over an inordinate amount of time. You can either choose a happy, conventional, and stress-free life, or you can choose a very interesting but more difficult and meaningful life. A man must be big enough to admit his mistakes, smart enough to profit from them, and strong enough to correct them. When you blame someone else for your problems, you're giving them power over you. You're allowing them to define and dictate your happiness and well-being. People start hating you when they cannot control you. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. If you find yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone else, you have already forgotten your value. Leave when a promise turns into a sorry. You don't find your purpose somewhere else. You create your purpose, exactly where you are, and you bear meaning to it. No single thing will solve all your problems. No goal, no achievement, no relationship. You will always feel mildly inadequate and somewhat dissatisfied with your life. A happy life is not a life without stress. It's a life of meaningful stress. You won't forget some bad things. You just stop caring. Until that happens, don't stress too much about it. It's never too late to do the things you've always wanted to do. Don't let naysayers discourage you because they may be projecting their own insecurities. The more you love yourself, the more you'll detach yourself from things that don't love you. Follow your heart. but take your brain with you. You can have results or excuses, not both. Growth happens when you start doing things that you're not qualified to do. Be smart enough to ask for advice, but be wise enough to know who to seek it from. With time, the more wins with fear you can accumulate, the more fearless you will become. Never make someone a priority who only makes you an option. Whoever fights can lose. Whoever doesn't fight has already lost. The only way to feel better about yourself is to do things worth feeling good about. A lot of things broke your heart, but fixed your vision. Never deny yourself an experience just because it's unknown or uncomfortable. It may just be a defining and wonderful part of your life. There will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you. Your entire life can change in an instant. So instead of passively taking what you have for granted, be grateful for it and do whatever good you can with it. One of the most dangerous things you can do is believe someone's opinion about you. Your relationship with others is a direct reflection of your relationship with yourself. Your tomorrow can be very different from today if you try. Keep thinking about what is not working today, and I promise you that your tomorrow won't either. It's not about having time. It's about making time. You can't always be nice. That's how people take advantage of you. Sometimes you have to set boundaries. Destroy the old you before it destroys you. Be selfish with your time. A lot of people don't deserve it. Never be so loyal that you betray yourself. You cannot have everything. You always exchange something for something. Weak people revenge. Strong people forgive. Intelligent people ignore. We are defined by what we give up, what we sacrifice, and what we reject. You are merely a reflection of the preferences and demands of the people around you. If you don't decide who you are, other people will decide for you. You grow as much as the amount of truth you're willing to accept about yourself without running away. There is always time. The only question is how long you will make excuses and pretend that it doesn't exist. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. The worst kind of enemies are those who pretend to be your friends. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Do not discuss your past with anyone, because only you know its true story and significance. Others may not understand, or even use it against you. Success and failure are fuzzy concepts that only exist in your mind before you do something, not after. The more grateful you are, the more beauty you will see all around you. The more generous life will seem, and the happier you will become. Sometimes you need to stop seeing the good in people and start seeing what they show you. If there's something you want to do in life, don't wait if you do. You might find 5 years have passed without you doing anything. Most of your problems disappear once you start hanging out with smarter, more thoughtful people. Everything comes to you at the right time. Be patient and trust the process. You can't always help. Sometimes you will watch people you love make terrible decisions despite the advice you give them. Envy is a waste of time. You already have all you need. Sometimes the world is trying to tell you who you are, but if you don't stop to reflect and listen, you'll never be able to hear. Enjoy every bit of your life to the fullest. Your compromises and sacrifices will be rewarded. An apology without change is just a manipulation. You don't really know the person you're with until you move in together. Never marry anyone without living with them first. Hurting them back will not heal your pain. Someday you will look back and know exactly why it had to happen. You cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it. Stop having relationship problems with people you are not in relationships with. Once you lose someone, it is never exactly the same person who comes back. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. If you say you'll do something, do it. Your word is one of the most valuable things you can cultivate. And if your word ever loses that value, it will be hard to get it back. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. You might not enjoy discipline, but you'll enjoy the results. You won't always be able to help someone change for the better if you keep trying. There will come a day when you decide you can't do it anymore, and they clearly don't want to change. The cost of procrastination is the life you could have lived. Be careful who you share your weaknesses with. Some people can't wait for the opportunity to use them against you. In solitude, the mind gains strength and learns to lean upon itself. Sooner or later, a person who wears two faces forgets which one is real. What you allow is what will continue. Your true friends become apparent when you're at your lowest. Live life the way you want to live it, because
Because even people who care for you can't be with you every step of the way.
You're going to make a lot of people mad doing what's right for you.
If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. Potential means you haven't done anything yet.
Maturing is realizing that overplaying your part in people's lives to prove your loyalty is only proving how much less you value yourself. Deal with people the way they deal with you. If you're lucky enough to get a second chance at something, don't waste it. Stop looking for happiness in the same place you lost it. There's a reason why some people are not in your life anymore. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people.
Most people are only nice when things don't matter.
Never be so kind you forgot to be clever, and never be so clever you forgot to be kind. You'll be alone in the most difficult times of your life. These times will make you wise, mature, and fearless. Some people only care about you if you are doing something for them. When you start seeing your worth, you'll find it harder to stay around people who don't. The truth is that maturing is realizing that a relationship can always work out and always be fixed, no matter the situation. One wrong step can change everything. Don't lie, don't cheat, be honest, and be loyal.
Never take someone's feelings for granted. You never know how much courage they took to share them.
If you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
You can't really control someone's loyalty towards you. You can do so much for someone and still not be treated well. If you blame it on someone else, don't expect it to get better.
One day you'll have a clean, quiet house and a car with a spotless interior. And all you'll want is for the ones who made the mess to come home. Action proves who someone is. Words just prove who they pretend to be. Once you feel you are avoided by someone, never disturb them again. Be cautious with good deeds. Kindness has limits, and some may exploit your generosity.
Your progress does not need to be seen or validated by others to be real. Expectation always hurts, so expect less or no expectation from others.
You'll ruin your life trying to make everyone happy. The only time you should look into someone else's bowl is to make sure they have enough. Given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind.
Don't take criticism from anyone you would not take advice from.
When you're working for someone else's dream, you sacrifice your own. A person who doesn't have a life of their own will always try to create drama in yours. You can't lose what you never had. You can't keep what's not yours. And you can't hold on to some things that don't want to stay. Life always offers you a second chance. It's called tomorrow. Most people will deceive you if you give them at least half a chance. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. The people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind.
Believe half of what you see, and don't believe anything you hear.
Never expect someone to catch you when you fall, even if you have caught many from falling. You can be friends with people for years, and it could take years to realize they were never your friends. All endings are also beginnings. We just don't know it at the time. Life may knock you down, but remember, you don't lose by falling. You lose by staying down. You may be the only person left who believes in you, but it's enough.
Not everyone is meant to be in your future. Some people are just passing through to teach you lessons in life.
No amount of success can compensate for failure at home. Your friends' problems become your problems. The smaller your social circle, the fewer problems you have. When you laugh, people laugh with you. And when you cry alone. Overtrusting, betrayal, masturbation, loss of energy, stress, hair loss, overthinking, depression, saying no, important, revenge, ruining your own life, observing, increase in wisdom, forgiving, healing, letting go, peace of mind. You can always earn money. It's not a big deal. Your world is not going to end because you don't have a fixed income. Something else will work out. Every person has three faces. Firstly, the one we show to the world and strangers. Secondly, the one we show to family, spouses, and close friends. And thirdly, the one we show only to ourselves. Not everything in this world should be your problem. Some things are simply none of your business. Focus on the issues that affect you directly. You will be much happier that way. Rejection is important for self-development. No one has the answer. You're going to spend a lot of time figuring things out. Sometimes, when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted. The person who cares less has the most power in a relationship. The world doesn't care about your potential. It cares about what you've done. You spend all your health initially for wealth, and then you spend all your wealth for one day of good health. Never compare your life with others. They may seem better than you, but they have some problems which are never ever heard by you. Don't tell anyone what you think or what you know. Keep your secrets to yourself, because a friend of today could be an enemy by tomorrow. Embrace judgment. No matter your outcome, you'll always be judged. So don't live to impress others. Live to impress yourself. Worry is the ultimate bully. It takes everything and gives nothing. Wasting time in regretting, cribbing, and crying won't fetch you results. You are right about all the things you think you need to do. Don't wait. Get started. If something bothers you, change it. If it is beyond your control, learn to live with it. Accept it. Change yourself. That is the only thing you can influence. When you get up in the morning, remember what you promised yourself at night. You spend your first 20 years worrying about what people think about you. You spend your next 20 years swearing that you don't care what people think about you. You spend the next 20 years realizing that they aren't thinking about you. To have what you never had, you have to do what you never did. People will say almost anything when they're happy. Be wise and careful of this one. The world will not treat you better just because you're a good person. Chasing the opposite sex and having temporary relationships, which means nothing but sex, is pointless. What people say when they are angry aren't things they mean. They regret it often. Forgive angry people. It's okay. They are only human. The more people let you down, the easier you'll get back up and realize that life doesn't stop for anyone. You can't litter negativity everywhere and wonder why you have a trashy life. Not everyone will make it to your future. Some people are passing through to teach you life lessons. If you waste money, you can earn it again. If you miss the moment, it can never be returned. Life isn't fair, and sometimes good deeds aren't rewarded, and bad deeds aren't punished. Things work out when you least expect them. Life has a funny way of surprising us when we're not looking for it. The ego is not a bad thing, and sometimes we need it in order to achieve our aims and feel vitality. However, the ego is just a tool. We shouldn't let it control us. There will always be someone who is better than you in something. You have to accept that fact and learn from them. That's something that will help you grow. Betrayal never comes from your enemies. The hardest part is at the beginning of the journey. The rocket loses 90% of its fuel during takeoff. A moment of patience in a moment of anger saves from 1,000 minutes of regret. Success is a loner's journey. You must learn to accept loss and make compromises. Putting off until tomorrow is your weakness. You can't always have a good day, but you can always face a bad day with a good attitude. Don't compare yourself to others because no one can play your role better than you. No work is beneath you. The only thing that should be beneath you is your big ego. Work hard in silence and show your skills at the job you get rather than criticizing the job. No matter how hard you work, you can't have everything you want. Eventually, most of us end up settling in some part of our life. Owning your truth can be hard, but not nearly as hard as spending your life running away from it. Many of the people you told your secret to have already told it to others. There is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one who hears it. People only want to hear the good, not the bad. So, if you have issues, it'll be hard to find people to confide in. The walls you build to keep things out are also keeping things in. There are times when you see someone for the last time and don't even realize it. Watch out. You'll never know the true value of the moment until it becomes a memory. Never expect too high. The more you expect when it doesn't meet your expectation, the more it's gonna hurt. The only two people that will never let you down are your parents. Not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, nor your friends. You might regret your speech, but you'll never regret your silence. Learn to let go, even if you are right. Life is a boxing game. Defeat is not declared when you fall down. It is declared when you refuse to get up. It is indeed very hard to move on, but once you do, you'll realize it was your best decision. Never make a promise you can't keep. Stop letting other people take advantage of you. Learn to say no and understand your rights. Saying no is important. People don't get offended as much as you think. Never awaken a woman's love with no intention of loving her. When talking to people, look them in the eye and on the face. This will make you more confident in front of others. Find something you love, something you can lean onto, something that would keep you going. You need something to fall back on when you get depressed. Nothing is complicated, not as much as you assume. It's just your mind playing tricks with you. If you get down to it, it's all really simple and clear. Time is your most valuable resource. There are no refunds or second chances for the time you waste. No one in this world will stand up for you like the way your parents do. Always be there for them. In order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. Be impatient with actions, but patient with results. If you're not happy with yourself, you'll never be happy in a relationship. Being lonely and being alone are different things. Overthinking ruins you. It ruins the situation, twists things around, makes you worry about futile questions, and makes everything much worse than it actually is. Most people are a complete waste of time. A lesson never ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Don't let people know too much about you. Just trust your instincts. Gut feelings can sometimes save you from big troubles. You don't get extra marks for putting up with people you dislike. Life is unfair. Don't moan. Don't complain. Learn to be thick-skinned. Make the most of what you can. You don't have to be great to start, but to become great, you just have to start. The moment poverty walks in through the door, love and peace toss themselves out of the window. Don't be emotionally attached to anyone. People change. Even your best friends may probably turn into strangers one day. No one cares except you. Do what lifts you up in your eyes. What people say does not matter. Think before you act. You can take a second to do something you haven't properly considered. That isn't a true reflection of your character, and it can undo a lifetime of kindness and generosity. Life gives you lemons, pepper, salt, and sometimes cold water, but they don't come together or in a certain order. So, keep struggling until the lemonade is ready. If you can't do it now, you won't do it ever. Regretting won't change your past, and it will end up your future if you continue to do that. Don't make hopes. Hopes will create expectation, and expectation makes you weaker. Some people just won't admit they're wrong. Don't waste time trying to get them to accept it. Passion is super awesome, but it doesn't cure all your problems. Passion can go a long way in your life, but it doesn't mean it's all unicorns and rainbows. You are not unique. There will always be someone else equally attractive, fun, and qualified to replace you. Don't read a quote and say, "This is wise," but read a quote and say, "How can I relate this to my life?"